I'm delighted to be back here because this was where I was trained to do what I'm doing. So I'm happy and I want to commend all my lecturers. Some of them have passed on. Great Ife! Great Ife! Great Ife! Because if my Lord, the Honorable Justice Afolabi can say Great Ife, I think I should be able to say it as well. Your Excellency, the Deputy Governor of Osun State, the Deputy Vice Chancellor representing the Vice Chancellor, the representative of His Royal Majesty, the Ooni Of Ife, my colleagues, and my learned colleagues in the academics. I'm delighted to be here to perhaps give a testimony of my foray in the area of international law. I'm going to dwell in extenso on international humanitarian law. The students' leaders were with me a few days ago and I asked them, why are you interested in globalization of legal practice? Why don't you come home so that we can talk of something much more local? And they said, no, sir. You can speak on a topic of your choice, but I find it will not be fair if I overrule them by not speaking on the topic chosen by the students. And that is why I'm going to speak very briefly on globalization of legal practice. My speech, I'm likely to be very laconic because I have a case in Abuja tomorrow. I need to go back to Lagos today, catch a flight later in the day. So I'm sure you can understand why I'm not going to be with you all day. The students also made it clear to me, and I'm sure that has come out in the speech of the President of the Law Student Society, that all students, alumni and alumni means male former student, while alumni means former female students, have been contributing immensely towards the progress of the faculty. They therefore challenge me openly, even though politely, to also chip in my own contribution. And I said, okay, I'll try and see what I can do. But I also tried to let them know that in 1992, the ASU went on strike. And the government challenged ASU. How do we fund the tertiary institutions? We met with ASU and came to the conclusion that we needed to tax companies. We needed to take a chunk of the profit of companies because they are the end users of graduates produced by the country. So I had the challenge of preparing the draft of the Third Fund Act, which it is the fund from that agency today that is likely responsible for what you might call capital projects in all tertiary institutions in Nigeria. I made it clear to the students, I am not a philanthropist. I fight for my rights in the system. And I want to see how much we can take out of the system to rebuild our universities. And I was just asking the Deputy Vice Chancellor now, because I am aware some minerals have been located on the campus. And I had suggested to the Vice Chancellor, can we set up a company and see how we can get some developers to invest in the mineral resources on the campus? And if we can do that, I can assure you, you will not have to go cap in hand to appeal to anybody, including the government, to fund this university. So I want to assure you, Mr. Deputy Vice Chancellor, publicly, that I shall render my services pro bono publico to ensure that we are able to exploit the mineral resources of the campus. And I'm happy the Deputy Governor is here. And I want to challenge you. I want to challenge the government of Osun State through your good self that you need to help our people, the local people, to ensure, you need to ensure that the communities where mineral resources have been located, the government must not allow illegal miners. The government must play active role in helping our people and in helping the state government. I handled a case in Osogbo recently where one of the mineral companies, mining companies, wanted to pay my clients 150,000 naira, even though they have struck gold in their land. We went to the Federal High Court in Osogbo, and the court awarded 250 million naira to my clients. The company was lucky in the sense that it was after the judgment had been delivered that I stumbled on a document which revealed that that company in 5 years will make $750 million from that part of the country. So the point I'm making, therefore, is that the government of Osun State must be actively involved in mining the mineral resources in the state, while the university must try as much as possible to also join the ongoing effort by the federal government to mine resources in our country. The topic of today could not have come at a more opportune time than now. As I was coming this morning, I discovered that the airspace of Qatar had been closed because of the missile fired where you have the American base in that country yesterday. President Trump announced last night that he has imposed ceasefire between Israel and Iran. I thought he wanted to say between the United States of America and Iran, because the fight is a proxy war between imperialism and Iran. The United States of America has the most dangerous nuclear weapons in the world. Israel has nuclear weapons. But America says Iran shall not have nuclear weapons. While I was sitting here, somebody just sent me some report that Trump may need to regret because the bulk of the nuclear weapons of Iran have not been destroyed. It's a dangerous war that is going on that may consume the entire world. You may have the third world and the most dangerous war in that region. But it's a war that defies international law, as well as the law of the United States. America could not have gone to such a war without the approval of Congress. But President Trump has nothing to do with Congress. He's using executive orders to run that country. And even when the court says, you are wrong, he abuses judges. But one significant thing that is important for all of us to know in a legal community is that in all the madness that is going on in America, President Trump has not been able to muster the courage to say, I will not obey this order of court. And I think it's a lesson for all of us, particularly for law students, to know what the rule of law is all about. Like the late Lord Denny said, no matter how high you are, the law is higher than you. And that is what the American courts are showing the world and showing President Trump. Globalization is the increasing interconnectedness of countries through the flow of information, ideas, goods and services across borders. In the context of legal practice, globalization refers to the transformation of law from a domestically confined discipline into one that is profoundly influenced by international norms, transnational transactions, digital technology, and cross-border disputes. The legal profession is no longer restricted to national boundaries. Issues that once fell strictly within the domestic realm, such as human rights, corporate regulation, environmental protection, and even criminal justice, are now shaped by international frameworks and foreign precedents. This shift presents both challenges and opportunities for us as lawyers, and especially for you as young lawyers in training. Globalization has also accelerated the expression of international human rights, pushing them beyond the purview of individual states and transforming them into universally recognized norms. As these rights increasingly penetrate national discourse, they compile legal systems to engage with evolving global values concerning dignity, equality, and justice. Let me commend the Law Student Society of this university for trying to broaden its knowledge in this area of international law. It's been difficult to persuade my colleagues, and I'm happy one of the leaders of the Barr is here, my learned friend, very good friend, Abimbola, said that we need to take the Barr legal practice beyond the narrow confines of our country. It's a shame that Nigerian lawyers are not reckoned with in international tribunals, even in Africa. And we shall come to that in a moment. The rise of international legal issues, international treaties and institutions, such as the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, the Rome Statute, the ECOWAS Protocol on the court, the African Court on Human and People's Rights, have created avenues through which lawyers can litigate matters of public interest and human rights across borders. Nigerian lawyers now file cases in Banjul in the Gambia, that's before the African Commission on Human Rights, in the ECOWAS Court in Abuja, and the African Court in Arusha, Tanzania. And the beauty of it is that we don't need to travel physically to Abuja to file a case in the ECOWAS Court to Arusha, Tanzania. You may simply sit down in your office, type your process, upload your application, and then in the next 24 hours or thereabout, you will have your suit number, and then the case will start. Sometimes you don't have to go to the court physically. I just informed you that I'm rushing to Lagos to catch a flight to attend to a case in the Federal Airport tomorrow. If it were the ECOWAS court, I do not have to travel to Abuja. I could sit down in the hall here and then hook on and participate in the proceedings of the court. And that is what is going on all over the world now. Globalization has also birthed entirely new fields: international arbitration, cyber law, data privacy, intellectual property law, international taxation, and climate change litigation. This area demand that lawyers be technologically competent, culturally literate, and internationally aware. Technology's role in globalization cannot be overstated. It facilitates legal cooperation, but also raises concern over privacy and equitable access. Lawyers must now grapple with cross-border data flows, AI-driven legal tools, and the digital dissemination of legal norms. Globalization of legal education and credentials. More Nigerian lawyers are qualified to practice in jurisdictions like the UK, Canada, and the US. They participate in global moot court competitions. Students obtain degrees abroad without having to travel or work in multinational firms. This has led to the emergence of a truly global class of legal professionals. The challenges of practicing law in a globalized world. It leads to erosion of local legal identity. One risk we must guard against is the loss of our indigenous legal system. Customary law and Nigerian legal traditions must not be allowed to perish under the weight of foreign models. We must globalize without being deracinated. In India, for example, globalization has triggered cultural homogenization and challenged the preservation of traditional legal institutions. This serves as a cautionary tale for African jurisdictions navigating similar trend. Here, I must say that when the British colonial regime invaded Nigeria, Vietnamese, and several African countries, they found a legal system that was functional and useful to the people. They came, in the case of Nigeria, with their own adjudicatory system. Somebody wins, you go on appeal, and for years, without resolving the matter. They found here what they call native arbitration. Native, you know the meaning of native, you know, these local people, they have their own arbitration. And they studied our arbitration and discovered that it was much more efficacious. So they took it to their country and fine-tuned it and brought it back to us as alternative dispute resolution. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yes, I'm sure you are learning about ADR in the Faculty of Law. It wasn't brought, it's not their own idea. I once attended a program in the US, because it's a 2-week program on ADR. After the first day, I didn't waste my time. So we met at dinner, I think the second day. And the main coordinator of the program, Mr. Falana, we didn't see you in classes yesterday. I said, no, I discovered that I was wasting my precious time. Because you're not teaching me anything new. And so I'm talking to you in the palace of every traditional ruler in my country. Arbitration, mediation are going on. In every police station in my country. They call it interviews. The police will listen to the complainant and listen to the suspect, and at the end of the day, they give their own type of resolution. It is when you disagree that you go to court. And in our own case, You don't appeal a case that has gone to the Oba's palace. But you know what happened? So the coordinator was totally flabbergasted. So you have this type of a developed system you can say. So they turned me into a lecturer instead of being a student. Now, but here, we are celebrating a day now. And something just brought from Europe. I did a study in Lagos in 2017. I discovered that whereas the 70 judges in Lagos barely concluded 4,000 cases, in that year, about 21,000 cases were resolved in the arbitration center. So we need to also intervene and let the world know that we're making our own contribution. The activities of powerful multinational corporations, often unbound by local human rights obligations, pose additional regulatory challenges. Their dominance can erode state sovereignty and displace community interest, especially when legal systems lack robust enforcement mechanisms. If you go to our court, local courts, if you sue Shell or any of the transnational corporations, to get justice is very difficult. These companies have the money to engage the services of lawyers who will file all manners of objections and keep you in court for about 20, 30 years. So what we have learned to do, if you have a good case and the company can be sued abroad, we'll go abroad. Just last Friday, the High Court in London delivered a judgment in favor of the Ogali people in Rivers State. I got that brief about 6 years ago. Hardly had I started the proceedings in the court that all manners of objections were filed against the case. And I considered them. We sat down in the chamber and came to the conclusion that if we go on, if you go this route, there's no way we're going to get justice for our client in their lifetime. So I contacted a colleague in the United Kingdom to take up the matter. Even though Shell has gone as far as the Supreme Court in England, they have asked them to go back to the High Court. And we got judgment last Friday. The next thing now is on damages that the court will have to decide. Now, in February 2024, a British Minister of Trade, supposed to be one of us, Femi Falana, who is the current leader of the Conservative Party, came to Abuja. She was Minister of Trade there, met with our Minister of Trade, and persuaded our Minister of Trade to sign a dubious partnership agreement, a neo-colonial package that will allow British lawyers to practice law in Nigeria without a reciprocal arrangement. And our minister was celebrating it. And this our sister was celebrating it. But the MD rose up to discredit the agreement. And I could only be allowed if Nigerian lawyers can also practice law in the United Kingdom. That was the end of the agreement. So these guys are going around. Imperialist institutions, they are going around to treat Africans and other countries in the third world to bring back colonialism, because that was a practice under colonial rule that British lawyers could practice in any state in the British Empire. But with independence, we have our own law school and we have our own law that stipulates that you cannot practice law in Nigeria unless you have been called to the Nigerian bar. Or Badin or Kenya to say no. We are your masters. So you must allow our own lawyers to come here, take all the juicy briefs and practice law here. And that is going on in other, including the government. Your Excellency, these guys come most of the time in their briefcases with laptops, and they just display on the table. And our people are carried away that these are God-made leaders of the world. So whatever they say, we must swallow hook, line, and sinker. About 6 months ago, I was in Sierra Leone. And there was a client of mine who I met there. Hey man, Tony, what are you doing here? He said, we are here to make a presentation. They wanted to help the government on how to manage their ports. And I said, when are you making your presentation? He said, we are waiting for somebody from the US. I said, why? He said, no, we are going to make the presentation. But governments in Africa have no regard for us. So we have hired an American who will merely introduce the topic. I will be the one that will make the presentation. I was very interested. So I wanted to join in the presentation. And lo and behold, this young man from America who didn't know his right hand from left simply introduced the members of the team and I said, Tony, so will make the presentation. And that was what happened. The white man was paid more money than all the Africans who actually were going to manage the thing. Up to today, and I hope, Your Excellency, I don't know what happens in Osun State. In many states in the country, when you want to make a presentation, you hire a white man to be on the delegation. And our governments are carried away. Now, once a white man is involved, it must be a genuine project. And that is what is going on. So, we must, as lawyers, taking part in globalization, you must scrutinize agreements that are imposed on African countries. You must, in fact, insist that we must also draft this agreement in the interest of our people, because the agreement that are sent here, when you hear that the Tinubu regime has taken a loan of some billions of dollars, in the agreement, in the loan agreement, Your Excellency, this is our experience. In the loan agreement, it's stated there, the projects you want to execute, they will appoint consultants for you. The equipment must come from their country. And the repairers, mechanical repairers, must also be brought from their country. So at the end of the day, if you are told that a country has taken $5 billion loan, at the end of the day, you'll be struggling to have $1 billion spent in Nigeria. So that is why, as Africans, we must insist as lawyers that we're not going to play roles of agents. We must be participants in the globalized world. The African lawyer must go beyond passive participation in the global legal order. Africa must contribute meaningfully to international jurisprudence. As Robert Bata notes, the modern legal profession is part of a globalized value chain that supports trade, capital flows, and dispute resolution. Today, law firms are not just local advisors. They are global problem solvers, providing solutions across jurisdictions whenever legal capacity is needed. Africa is central to this transformation. From the merger of Ellen and Overy, and Sherman and Sterling, to the expansion of law local firms into hubs like Lagos, Nairobi, and Johannesburg. African jurisdictions are no longer on the periphery of global law. They are part of its center. The African Continental Free Trade Area is a powerful example of globalization shaped by African realities, bringing together 54 out of 55 African Union members. The AfCFTA creates a single market of 1.3 billion people with a combined GDP of over $3 trillion. Yet, this opportunity is matched by complex legal challenges, customs procedures, tariff and non-tariff barriers, inconsistent IP regimes, fragmented dispute resolution mechanism, and divergent labor tax and regulatory standards. For international corporations and for African lawyers advising them, success depends on strategic legal planning and market entry analysis. Legal advisors such as Lex Africa are becoming indispensable, offering compliance support, dispute resolution mechanism, and harmonization strategies across jurisdictions. Now, neoliberalism, redundancy law, and the judicialization of structural adjustment in Africa. The effects of globalization on legal practice in Africa cannot be fully grasped. Can you hear me? Yes. In 1980, the IMF and the World Bank compelled African leaders to embrace what they call structural adjustment program. Some of the conditionalities include retrenchment of workers, privatization of public enterprises, withdrawal of subsidies from social services, and so on and so forth. Our leaders embraced them. They sacked millions of workers in Africa, and they sold our common assets to a few people. We used to have Oshogbo rolling mill here, where I see today. It's rolling in the pocket of Dangote. No, please listen. Dangote bought Oshogbo rolling mill, just an example. Remove the tools, machines, and today, what we have there is not good. So we call it asset stripping. In many instances, they didn't have the money to buy the local asset. So they were the agents of globalization came here to deceive our people that you must sell all your collective assets so that few individuals will manage the economy. We have, for instance, 4 refineries, 2 in Port Harcourt, 1 in Warri and 1 in Kaduna. The Nigerian government, since the era of military junta, Nigerian government has not been able to fix the 4 refineries. The last attempt, the Buhari administration earmarked $2.9 billion to fix the 4 refineries. Today, and at the same time, the government announced investment of $2.7 billion in the Dangote refinery so that we will acquire 20%. As of yesterday, in some parts of the country, the price of a liter of fuel was already climbing maybe about 1,000 naira, because this Akotilator ruling class refused to allow those refineries to work. So it's only Dangote refinery they are celebrating. And they have given the impression that this is due to the effort of one man. Please, you can quote me. At the right time, we are going to find out. How did the 20% we're going to acquire, how was it reduced to 7%? 2. All the machinery that came in, you didn't pay duties. What is the value? Where you are operating, there is a place they call free trade zone. Section 44 or Section 3, the Constitution of Nigeria. Nowhere is it provided that individuals who own oil blocks. Because under the land use decree, you can acquire any place for public purpose. In the case of mineral resources, they are acquired by the government on behalf of all of us. But what a few people have done is to corner these resources so that the majority of our people remain poor. Now, this is what globalization is about. Those who come from Europe and America, particularly agents of IMF and World Bank, insist that this is the best way to run the world now. So that you have a few people who are dangerously rich and the majority of the people who are dangerously poor. And we must challenge the status quo so that at the end of the day, there will be peace and order in the world. And of course, in our own country, there will be peace, equality, and justice for all. A situation where the government says things are getting better. You ever heard that? And the Bola Tinubu regime is saying, boasting, that things are getting better. You know, why they came to that conclusion is that they depend on endorsement from Western institutions. Those people are saying, you are doing well. Remove subsidies, you are doing well. Remove subsidy from oil, from electricity, you are doing well. So if the majority of the people can sleep in darkness, it doesn't concern them. Whereas in their own countries, and I've challenged the government, that the French government, when the government was saying we are removing subsidy from electricity, the French government was spending about 40 billion euro on electricity. But they will tell you here, no government can do it alone. What is government doing today? You can't fund education, you can't fund health, you can't fund roads. And that is what globalization is teaching us, that we must allow capitalists to run our country, contrary to the letter and spirit of chapter 2 of the Constitution. Section 16 provides that the resources of our country shall be deployed to promote the happiness of Nigeria, not the sadness of our people, which is what is going on now. You know, our people are very sad now, economically. And that is why we must not, they now said they want to award. I was coming this morning and I saw how terrible this road has become, Ife-Ibadan road. When our roads were being fixed by the government, in the 70s, 80s, from Ife to Lagos, just 2 hours. If our Lagos and Ibadan road, you could almost close your eyes and drive. Today, you spend hours to move from Lagos to Ife. But very soon, they will advertise the road so that one capitalist can take over the road, fix it, and then erect toll gates where it will collect money forever. In the area of international law, which will interest you, I mean international humanitarian law, 2 days ago, I got a brief from Ghana. A top judicial officer in Ghana wanted to sue the government. He or she believed that he or she could not get justice in the country. I don't want to talk of I don't want to reveal my client. He then said, Mr. Falana, I want to access the ECOWAS court. Can you please let me have your complaints in writing sent through the WhatsApp? And I've read it. We are going to file an action in the ECOWAS court next week. Now, I don't have to leave Lagos. My client doesn't have to come from Ghana to brief me in Lagos. And throughout the period that the case will be in court, I may not travel to Abuja. That is my own positive way of looking at globalization. In other words, a community citizen in Senegal or Cote d'Ivoire does not have to come to Abuja to access justice. We got a brief 3 years ago. A Venezuelan was arrested in Quebec, and the government of Venezuela briefed us to file an application before the ECOWAS court. Again, without having to travel anywhere, we filed the case in Lagos, and in about 6 months, the ECOWAS court gave its judgment. This is the trend now. Morocco has continued to colonize Western Sahara. A Ghanaian activist approached us about 5 years ago that we must fight the imperial control of Western Sahara by Morocco. And we did. Lawyers from 11 countries took part in the proceedings. And at the end of the day, of course, the court gave its judgment. And none of us had to travel to Arusha, Tanzania, where the court is located. We all stayed in our respective countries and were able to participate in the virtual proceedings conducted by the court. Even our local courts, I hope Osun State is looking at this. Even our local courts are also required. Many of them have announced that they are moving to e-filing. Abimbola, I don't know whether you are e-filing in Bada. We have e-filing in Lagos, e-delay. Because when you call e-filing, where we are seated, we can file a case in the ECOWAS court, in the African court, and you don't need to travel. Here, they will give you a temporary number in Lagos for 2 weeks. You are still battling. Say the network is not okay, so they can't even give you the suit number. So you can't begin the proceedings. So I'm saying, I'm submitting that even our local courts must be part of globalization and must be part of the international community. I was once going to give evidence in a case in the US. It's about 1993, part of the June 12 crisis. The lawyer in Nigeria informed the judge that my witness had left Lagos, and the judge asked him by which airline, Air France, what is the number? And on his table, the judge confirmed, and then told the lawyer that you are lucky that you have not told a lie. Otherwise, I would have referred you for discipline. So the point I'm making therefore is that the advantage of globalization must be exploited by all. But we must also be very careful. We must also be very careful that we are not captured by the West in terms of promoting justice in the world. The last point is where I started from. The United States of America has refused to sign the Rome Statute. So the US does not believe in the International Criminal Court, because that court is set up to fight genocide, crimes against humanity and aggression. And the United States government is involved in aggression, in crimes against humanity, and for that reason, it is not going to be part of the Rome Statute. But we must also insist, if we are going to have a war where peace will reign, every country must sign to that instrument, so that if there is any violation of the rights of people in any part of the world, we can take it on. I don't know whether you are aware that the United States government, Trump administration, has imposed sanctions on judges of the ICC because they have the temerity to indict Netanyahu and some leaders of Israel. Now, and for those of you who are Christians here, who are saying, oh, Israelites are God's chosen people, no nation can defeat them. It's not true. Iran is defeating Israel. That is why the US has been asked to come in. You know that last week, Netanyahu was begging the US, please join this war. Otherwise, we'll be defeated. And that is what is going on. But for Christians among us, please, again, you can check. You can check in the internet. The population of Israel, the Christian population in Israel is less than 2%. It's 1.9%. So when you say in the name of Jesus Christ, they will win that war, they don't believe in Jesus Christ in Israel. Are you aware of this? So that you don't deceive yourself. The Israelites were chosen people of God. This one, Israelis are not chosen people of God. Anybody who is killing children, bombing hospitals, cannot be chosen people of God. That is what we must also know in understanding the world. Now, here's the last point that is an organization they call BRICS. I don't know whether you have heard of BRICS. BRICS, Brazil, India, South Africa, China. BRICS. We are not part of it because our government is afraid of the West. What is BRICS about? To fight the dominance of the dollar. Do you understand? The Tinubu regime is saying the economy is doing well. Naira has stabilized. What do they mean? 1,600 per dollar. When I was undergraduate here, it was 60 kobo to $1. Today our government is clapping that is 1,600 to $1. And that is what the dangerous aspect of globalization. BRICS, after a lot of prayer from a few of us, the government has now said, even though we are not joining BRICS, we shall be a partner country. In other words, we shall collaborate with BRICS because of the fear of the West. We must insist on the sovereignty of our country. And what BRICS is saying, instead of looking for dollars, use your own currency to trade. How can any country say we are not going to be part of that? Your Excellency, please. The National Economic Council is the only body empowered by the Constitution to advise the President on the economy. Not some funny Presidential Economic Advisory Council. No. That is the only body created by Section 153 of the Constitution to advise the President. Please advise the President that Nigeria needs to join BRICS so that we can trade without looking for dollars, so that we can run our economy in the interest of our people. Finally, Mr. Vice Chancellor, it will not be fair if I do not make any comment on this. I'm very happy. I do hope at the end of my program today, no student to be arrested. Because I'm aware a minister came from Abuja recently, and because two students protested. Please, I beg you, listen to me. Two students protested, and contrary to the official claim, they ended up in the More police station. And I thank the student union for freeing those students from detention. The government was planning to charge them, but Ile-Ife descended on the police station and the the students were released. Please, let me say this. That is not the Ife we knew. That was not the Ife we left. Happily, some of the people on the high table were part of the Ife tradition. In 1978 January, General Obasanjo, as a president, military president, visited us here. He addressed the students at Faji Hall there. Our Vice Chancellor, Professor Akanni Akinyemi, addressed, welcomed the guests, and the guests informed us, provoked us by saying very soon we are going to increase, we are going to reintroduce tuition. We are not paying tuition. And that means you have to look for money to be in the university. When it was the turn, no, we insisted our president must talk. Since you have come to meet us, our president must talk. And the name of our president was Bamire to the Babatunde. So he told the president, sorry, we cannot behave vicariously like for the criminality of the ruling class. You can't punish us if the economy has been mismanaged. And it was a grand ovation. Now, when the guests left, many professors asked the Vice Chancellor, you must discipline the student leader. And those that were identified in the hall, in the open place, who have incited the student to be rude to the visitor. Professor Aboyade told them, this is a university community. We call it for learning and culture. Professor Aboyade now issued a statement to advise the students in line with the motto of the university to learn to respect guests. While you are expressing your own views, learn to respect guests. I've told a few friends when I read that story, some of us today would not have graduated in this university. But at that time, we had freedom. We were also responsible students. So I'm going to appeal to the authorities. In line with the decision of the Court of Appeal, in the case of ANPP and IGP, Inspector General of Police, that in a country where there is rule of law and where you have fundamental rights, protest is part of expression of your freedom to speak, freedom of expression. Therefore, and the concept you can look at it, placard-carrying people must not be harassed by the police. Placard-carrying people, if you are not armed, you have the right to protest. As I'm addressing you, if two students, for reasons best known to them, simply display a placard and go back to Lagos, they haven't committed an offense. And I think we must allow this university to remain a center of freedom. A minister has just passed away, Professor Jibril Aminu. He said Ife was a fortress of idea which had to be brought down. Ife was a fortress of idea which had to be brought down. But he was told, no force can bring down the fortress because it's built on justice and truth. And lecturer students must speak the truth at all times. You must speak truth to power. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I want to pledge my support for the Law Student Society, for the level of discipline that I've witnessed here. Mr. President, I will see you. And And since you expect me to make some donation, I will announce a donation. And I'll give you a donation. I'm not going to announce. And I'm not going to talk of my widow's mite. Sit down. You know the widow's mite? Mr. Deputy, Your Excellency, we all make a mistake. I will put my widow's mite. The widow's mite was all the widow had. All. Do you understand me? So I cannot give you all that I have. I thank you very much.
Thank you very much.